Hi, Megan.
Hey, Devon.
Good to see you. And hello to our listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Style with your hosts, Devon and Megan. If you're new here, we're so glad you found us. We are a podcast dedicated to all things hockey style, literally and a bit figuratively, as we love to bring in special industry guests who share their subject matter expertise and the ways that they shape the style of their teams, their arenas, their franchises, and of course, the sport that we all love best. Today is no exception. We have a good friend coming in from Little Caesars Arena as he works for the Detroit Red Wings Authentic store as a sales associate and has a wealth of knowledge to share with us about authentics, collecting, the hobby, and the way he helps to organize things like the big annual equipment sale. So, in a few minutes, we will introduce him. But first, Megan, how have you been? How did you happen to know that I would also be hanging up the reverse retro Florida jersey today? Great
Well,
minds
I
think
mean,
alike.
for me, there's only so many options with Florida. This is the only Florida thing I own. So that's where this came from. But it's a little Ryan Lomberg autograph jersey because we love
Ooh,
that crazy guy.
he is so funny. I fell in love with him, I think, because your fiance slash my brother, his formal title, would call him the Lamborghini when he was with the
Mhm.
Rangers. And I
Yeah.
just thought that was great. So I too now am a fan, but we would be remiss not to talk about the fact that we only just happened to see this week, for whatever reason, the Calgary Flames schedule release video.
And
That
how
was
he was the star of it all.
Oh my God. And didn't it take, so for people our age, you'll remember Rambo when we were growing up, and it was a full on reenactment of Ryan Lomberg is Rambo. Enter Lambo. It was unhinged in the best way.
It
So
was fantastic.
it was, instead of swimming through the murky waters with the knife between his teeth, it was a Calgary Flames mini stick. I
Hmm.
mean, genius. And it
The
was
mini
just
stick was
Ryan
very
Lomberg.
important, integral.
If you saw it and you didn't see Rambo, just go watch the Rambo trailer. So this gives you some context. Yeah, just unhinged in the most wonderful way. I'm
It's
getting a kick out
fantastic.
of it. Yeah.
Yes.
So the Flames are they have it going on with their marketing and media social media team.
I loved the plan this year. It was a pretty funny one.
Yeah. Not too much in terms of trades this week that we've heard of. Of course, there's always rumors. I mean, I've heard some crazy ones, and who knows if the sources are reliable. But the latest I heard for the Red Wings, they may be in talks with Anaheim regarding Mason McTavish, which that would be incredibly interesting. But who knows? We're just taking it one day
I
at a time.
I remained skeptical on every single one of these rumors until there's an actual move.
Yeah,
I don't
fair.
believe anything until it's real.
You know what? You're a wise gal, Megan. You also don't get your hopes up too
And
soon,
I
where I'm
just feel
like,
like people are bored and making things up. I don't know, maybe.
oh, yeah, summer content. True.
Hmm.
We feel you on that, which is why our first period will be a little bit short because there isn't a lot happening in the
Not
world of
much.
hockey right now
No.
in the beginning of August. But we hope you're having a wonderful start to August. It's been very hot here in Michigan, so we are looking forward to thinking about packing soon for training camp in September and getting the fall started. So,
Yeah,
what
let's do that.
yeah, my hydrangea. I came home today, and my hydrangea were turning like from bright pink to that kind of like dark, you know, brownie pink color. And usually this time of year, I'm like, oh, that's so sad. It's end of summer, and now I'm like, thank God, it's been so hot, and that just means hockey is here. So let them live their life. I'm ready for the next season.
All
Um,
right.
are you excited to talk to Antonio Lucas from
Of
Little Caesars
course.
Arena? All
He
right.
is so much fun, so funny, and I'm just really excited for him to share with our listeners one of his specialties, which I won't say too much, but photo matching. I can't wait for you to hear his description. It's fun.
Yes. Yes, for sure. So stay tuned for the second period where we introduce you to Antonio Lucas. Welcome to the second period. Hi, Antonio.
How you guys doing? You guys have a
Good.
good afternoon?
Yes. How about you?
Couldn't be better.
Excited to see you and talk to you. We go from seeing you like every week at Little Caesars Arena for all the Detroit Red Wings home games to this whole summer withdrawal.
Mhm.
What have you been up to?
Oh, not much. We just had our big annual equipment sale last weekend. There wasn't too much prep this time around, but last year and years prior, I felt like there was a lot more. There was more quality than quantity this time, I would have to say. Been traveling around with another occupation, going to many equipment sales across the United States. So hopefully
Ooh.
we got a little bit more to focus on here in the next little bit.
So you bring up the equipment sale, and some of our listeners are collectors, so they probably are very familiar with what that means. But in case anyone listening is new to the world of authentics and collecting game worn gear, game used equipment, tell us a little bit about what the equipment sale entails and how collectors come together to find pieces they're after at those events.
So, of course, depending on the franchise, Detroit, being an original six team, we pack these equipment sales all the time. So, normally, what people will do is, they'll stand outside between 72 to 48 hours before the equipment sale, mostly looking for specific jerseys. We sell the game used jerseys from that past year, along with, many other jerseys from previous seasons and stuff like that. We'll sell sticks, we'll sell gloves, we'll sell nameplates, just all the normal, game used memorabilia pieces that you won't really catch up online and stuff like that, depending on the team, of course.
I'm smiling because you heard Antonio correctly, listeners. He did say 72 to 48 hours before you did not miss here. There are people who line up days in advance in
Who
hopes
would do
of
that?
getting. Oh, I wonder, Megan,
I don't
should we
I don't know who
divulge?
would do that.
And you guys have to.
Okay, so not this summer, but last summer for the Detroit Red Wings equipment sale, which only happens once a year in the middle of the summer. And the very first Patrick Kane jerseys of Kane as a Red Wing were available. Just sought after pieces that were going to be up for the first time. There were people who lined up several days in advance, and Megan and I were first in line.
Sorry.
And I know that seems a little wild, but it's actually kind of a fun time. Antonio, like, talk about the regulars, the people who come, and it's kind of a community of friends now, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, so over the past few years, you have your normal regulars from years prior, and then a lot of new collectors, such as Devon and not really Megan. You've been around the block for a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's a good camaraderie, situation. There's a lot of people that show up just really to hang out and enjoy their time with former collector or fellow collectors and stuff like that. So it's a great bonding experience. Before I joined the Authentics team, I used to do it too. I wasn't no big collector that would be out 72 hours before. I would usually be out there, maybe the night before around 4 or 5 in the morning. It gives us a couple hours to stand outside because I really don't have the patience for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was camping too. It wasn't just
No
standing. I mean, there's
lunches and
there's a lot of like telling stories of, why you collect a certain player or, what your favorite hockey memories are. And then you leave this whole like camping retreat, if I could call it, just feeling so connected to the other passionate fans in the community. But that was last summer. This summer, I heard for security reasons, they asked people to just come super early in the morning at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. Is that right? How did that work, Antonio?
so I only had a few days to work before, but this year it was a little bit different. I know last year there's a little bit of an issue with security purposes, and I guess LCA security really don't want to look after the collectors and stuff like that. So this year, yes, they did move it to 6 a.m. Out front, in front of the team store door on outside of the Myers entrance. But that's not going to stop, the collectors and stuff like that. They, I guess kind of the same routine as last year. They kind of sat outside of Harry's, kind of parked their lawn chairs there, and then,
Yes.
and the people started lining up. But I would
Harry's is a
is
local bar in Detroit that is
awesome food. Shout out
frequented by
Jerry.
Red Wings. Yeah, Red Wings fans. If you're in Detroit, stop by Harry's, and then see a game. So, Antonio, how do you set up for an equipment sale? Because there's so much stuff that you have to go through and sort through. What is that process like?
So there really is no like specific process to it. Me personally, I had a lot to do with the setup this year. Sometimes we'll have usually a game plan, but we just start wheeling out the bins of skates, the gloves, etc., and whatever else there might be. But this year we usually do like the skates on a table, gloves on a table, nameplates, helmets, jerseys on the rack outside in the concourse. But this year, I don't know. I just felt like being a little bit lazy, so I put all the skates on one table and gloves on another. Miscellaneous stuff towards the back. But there really is no specific setup other than we'll put set one jersey, set two jerseys on the specific racks depending on season, prior season jerseys and stuff like that. There really is
Yeah.
no like specific setup.
Yeah, you taught me this. Megan is an old pro at this point, but I wasn't familiar with the set one versus set two. So explain that for any of our listeners who, may be wondering about the various sets that a player gets during the season.
Okay, so usually set one jerseys are the first home game or first away game of the season, and they usually run to about mid-January, usually before the All-Star break. This past year, set one jerseys ended for home and away on January 14th. So anything after January 14th would have been set two jerseys.
Okay.
End of the year, roughly.
So that's
I
pretty
think it
cool.
is a common misconception. Like, I know I've heard people talking in the team store, like, oh, they must get a new jersey every game. Oh, no, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, no, but
No,
that would be very expensive. Those
Mhm.
premium authentic jerseys are like just beautiful. The craftsmanship is
I'm
incredible.
not going to call out other franchises, but some teams do a lot of jerseys.
They
Yeah.
sure do.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. So Detroit has usually set one, set two. And last it was a year like this past year where we also had stadium series. So we got one extra jersey that the guys got to wear who played in stadium series in Columbus, but then for two more home games, which was kind of fun. So what's nice about knowing what set you're after, let's say you are a big Lucas Raymond collector, you can actually, when you go to the equipment sale and you get your hands on one of them, then mark down what potential games it was worn in, and then look at the puck marks, and you can actually go back and match it and find out which games your jersey that you own was worn. And that's kind of fun because then you really do, it goes from just being a jersey to a piece of hockey history.
and a
So
personal memorabilia too. I know a lot of people, out of town are, usually asking for the away jerseys or like prime example, this Talbot behind me, former fellow collector of mine, great friend. He's like, yeah, I wanted that one because he probably would have wore that in Chicago. So,
mhm.
a lot of people love that memento if they were at an away game and they just happen to see the, players in that specific jersey. So, thank God there's not, a new jersey every game or, it'd
Yeah,
be a lot of money
Impossible.
for sure.
you're
Mhm.
really good, better than anyone I've ever met at matching jerseys and equipment to the actual games. What is your process for doing that? How'd you get so good at that?
There's really no specific process. I'm very particular on, seeing my stuff used, especially when you're spending, a couple $1,000s, honestly, on, some game used pieces. But most of the time, well, depending on the item. Prime example, these jerseys, I would probably go to Getty Images. Maybe if it's a set one jersey, type in Cam Talbot, then maybe the game he was in, go through all the photos that the photographer would take. And if you see a specific puck mark, and then it's dated to that game, or maybe you have Connor Bedard taking a shot on Talbot and you would see the mark that he left on the jersey. That's kind of, the process there. Really, it just depends. Player hats, you see the guys wearing them, post-game interviews. I guess you could say that's a photo match to an extent as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's many different, there's some people that, take photography at the games and, sometimes that's their photo match because
Yep.
all the times are the photographers at the arena going to, specifically
Mm-hmm.
get the guy that you're looking for or match the little hang loose thread on the number. So, Getty Images is the way to go when it comes to photo matching. I'm very particular, so I'm zooming in, I'm scrolling. If I don't find a match, I usually get very irritated. So
It's
then I just hope for the
you're
next.
very good at it. I got my Alex Lyon Philadelphia glove and blocker set, and of course, being my collector friend, I texted you pictures to show you, Antonio. And before I even had a chance to look, he replies with exactly where he knew they were worn and what year and what set, and I'm like, man, you're good. You're good at this. But for those wondering, who cares? It is really cool when you're thinking about displaying these because they're like a piece of art, right? And maybe you want to have your jersey framed, or you want to just display a piece of equipment on a shelf. It's really neat if you can put next to it maybe like a printout of the ticket where you were at that game, or a photo of you and your friend at a game that season. So it really humanizes it, and helps to give some contextual relevancy to the piece. So that's why I think a lot of collectors like it. How'd you get into that, Megan, with all your
How did
matching?
I get into it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of easy with Evgeny Svechnikov. There's just not a lot there, so it's pretty easy to figure out who, what, when, where, why. I think, and one thing that I like, differences in teams and programs, the Winnipeg Jets. They actually do this for you. So when you get a Winnipeg Jet jersey, it comes to you with a folder with a photo match already done, and they'll highlight a particular puck mark and they'll zoom in on it on the picture and put it in a binder for you with your certificate, and off you go. So, it just depends on where things are coming from. I think yeah, it's a really cool program they have. My favorite one is the one he wore for the home opener there. So it was,
Mm.
him skating out onto the ice for the first game of the season. So I think that's one of my favorite like photo matches, but I feel kind of guilty because I didn't even do it. Winnipeg did it.
They did all the hard work, but that's nice.
For sure.
Antonio, maybe you'll have to start doing that for some of your loyal customers.
We'll see. Maybe
You
I
can,
have to
you
charge a
can,
little
you,
extra.
you do it for us anyway, so you
Yeah.
kind of do.
That'd be a great like little side job. Like I will photo match your gear for you. Send you a
Yeah,
nice little binder.
I like that. I've never heard of that as a side hustle, but that would be perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
As long as
And
it pays the bills, right?
Yeah.
there you go. And one thing we didn't talk about, but Megan, you alluded to with Winnipeg sending over their kit with the jersey. When you buy a piece of authentics, you get a certification that it is legit and it's was worn that season. So it really does set apart a retail purchased item. So Antonio, you are responsible in Detroit for doing a lot of the certs. Is that cumbersome? Does every single piece have a unique number?
Every piece, depending on what item is, of course, usually not like the brand new gear, like the unused gloves and stuff like that.
Okay.
Every piece of authentic memorabilia that comes through our store and we sell will more than likely come with a certificate of authenticity. And yeah, I
Yeah.
guess, yeah.
Yeah. And you're in a room that's just dedicated to authentics at Little Caesars. So if you visit the Detroit Red Wings and you go into the main big retail store on the first floor, keep walking, and in the back you'll find Antonio and the team with all of the authentics and game worn and game used items right there. The some of the arenas we visited do it a little differently. So I'm thinking Florida, they actually have a completely separate room for authentics that's like a different shop. And our listeners may be wondering why, if Antonio is the Detroit Red Wings authentic sales associate, do the ladies have all these, you know, Florida Panthers gear hanging up? But you are, Antonio, a diehard Panthers fan, as well as a Wings fan and a Vegas Golden Knights fan.
Correct.
So how did that happen?
Oh, long stories, long stories. But growing up in Detroit, you kind of got to rep the home team. There's not really much of a story there. I've gone
Yeah.
to many games as a child at the Joe Louis Arena. Wish that arena was still around. But that's kind of how the Detroit started. And probably around that same time, I would travel to Florida a lot.
Okay.
And as a kid, I had family there in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Orlando, Naples. So pretty much all South Florida. So that's kind of where my love of the Florida Panthers kind of started. Detroit's cool and all, but you kind of have to have a backup team too. So, once I started really paying attention more into hockey outside of just playing it as a child. I always
Mhm.
thought the jumping cat with the broken hockey stick was like the coolest logo.
It
And
is pretty cool.
like, maybe 11 years old at the time. The team wasn't that good. They probably just got Alexander Barkov at that time, Aaron Ekblad. So, it really didn't bother me that the team wasn't that good. It's just, I spent a lot of time as a child in Florida, kind of didn't have to, but, just, picking them up as a second team was just, I guess, very necessary.
Yeah. And I love that nobody can call you a fair weather fan because you have been a diehard Florida fan for a long time, and now you earned the right to celebrate back-to-back championships.
Yeah, I was actually just at the, parade this past year. It
Mm.
it was a lot of fun. There's roughly about 400,000 people there on the
Wow.
Las Olas Boulevard, A1A. Definitely packed. You couldn't get no phone service. That's how packed it was.
Oh my gosh.
You lose someone in that crowd, you're screwed for probably a good couple hours. So
Wow.
there's a
Did you
lot.
get squirted by the squirt guns that the players had on the floats that were filled with melted arena ice?
That I did not. I was close.
Oh,
I wasn't that close. I was right across from the elbow room. Shout out elbow room.
oh yeah, that was
nice.
a
Yep.
cool spot. Actually, I saw that flashed on TV a few times.
Hey, well, you probably saw me if you zoomed in. No, not
Oh,
really.
funny. We'll
But
we'll photo match you, Antonio.
photo match, elbow room,
Yeah.
photos. But no, it was definitely a lot of fun. I believe it was 95 degrees that day, so it was definitely
Wow.
horrible. Had to jump in the ocean twice, and then
Wow.
it was
I
a lot
guess
of fun. Florida,
Sounds amazing.
possibly. Hopefully, Detroit within the next few years can have their parade down Woodward. That'd
yes.
be definitely very nice.
And then we'll all have to just jump in I guess
The
I
Detroit,
don't want to
Detroit
jump in the
River,
river.
uh,
No, I don't
no,
want to.
Lake
I don't
St.
want to do
Clair,
that.
maybe. No,
no,
no.
I'm
Don't
good on
put me
that.
down for that.
I'll watch you guys do it, though. Be my guest.
Hey, you know what? When Detroit wins the Stanley Cup, we'll take the heat. That's fine. We won't mind one bit. And then Vegas. You have family out in Las Vegas, right? Is that how you became a Golden Knights fan?
Yep.
Okay. And that's a really cool expansion team. We had if you catch one of our our very first episode actually was our first episode with a guest. So episode number 2 is with Stacy Nutini, the founder of Ladies of the NHL, who's out in Vegas. And she told us some stories about when she was there and the team was brand new. And it's just really, I think I've become a fan because of you and her. I just appreciate them so much more. Plus the gold glitter jerseys.
Yeah. I guess my first game as, I guess you could say a Golden Knights fan was game 4 against Winnipeg, or Western Conference Finals. So that really just set a tone because I seen them here in Detroit. I've never been to a home Vegas game, so that one just really set the standards for the NHL. They definitely did it fantastic their first year.
Yeah.
That's
I stayed in the hotel right next to the arena, and you could see the glass vibrating. That's how loud it was. You could see
Wow.
the band. Well, not the band. Well, yeah, I guess you could say a band, the mascot, the cheerleaders walking through the hotel,
Yeah.
area. So it was definitely a lot of fun. Vegas definitely knows how to do it, along with their equipment sales, very organized as well. So
Good
very cool.
shout out for the
shout out Ryan in Vegas.
Authentics team. Yeah. So I was just gonna say Megan and I went to 2 games in Vegas when I guess the season before last. One was against the Red Wings, which was really cool. But we met the Authentics sales director at the time. He was super nice, helpful, loved it all. And we also got our picture taken with the knight who does the opening before the game. And he has like the whole battle on the ice. I'm like, this is a whole spectacle. This is a whole thing. It's like you get to see a hockey game and a Vegas show, basically. It's pretty neat.
That guy in the Golden Knights costume, Lee, he's awesome. He always comes to Detroit. So maybe next time, Vegas is in Detroit, you guys can, maybe meet up with Lee. Awesome guy.
Oh, I'd love that.
That'd be so
Big Red
fun.
Wings fan too. So you get a lot of, the PA announcers, the on ice crew from Vegas. They fly out to Detroit, and they love seeing Detroit too. So
Yeah.
Is Darren Elliott still doing it out there?
I believe he is. Yes.
Yeah, he was great. I
He
miss
should-
him.
I don't know why he would leave, but I believe he's still there.
Yeah, no, I mean that was such a great gig. Yeah, for sure. And he was really good at his job, so I definitely miss him.
We need to go back. Let us know when you're going to be out there again. That's always fun.
Mhm.
Might be a little bit, but with schedule issues and stuff like that. So I definitely want to make it to a game in Vegas. Haven't done that since roughly 2019. So I definitely want to.
Okay.
It's changed. I know they updated the castle in their arena to a dragon or something cool like that. So
Yeah. There's something to see everywhere. It's pretty neat. So I'm sure people who are listening get the fact that we just love hockey, hence why we all can have multiple teams that we root for. But for those who are wondering, like, how you got to just have your one home team, how do you do this? We were just talking about this with our guest who came on from Dallas, Blessin. And Dallas has always been such a fun, almost like cousin team to the Red Wings because they support each other for the prospect tournament in development camp. And I decided officially I'm going to have a dedicated Eastern Conference team and a Western Conference team. What do you think?
I really don't see an issue with it. I think it's it's kind of good to have one team on each side, and then hopefully
Yeah.
you can play in the Cup Finals together, and then it's kind of hard to root for. It's kind of how it was in 2023 when I had Florida and Vegas in the Cup Finals apart, but it's pretty cool to see that happen though.
Well, I will say I will never not root for the Red Wings. If we make it to the finals, that's it. I'm all in.
Yeah, I don't know if I can participate. I feel like things have been designated for me. I don't know how I root for teams that aren't, like I kind of got to go with Winnipeg. I kind of got to go with San
Yeah.
Jose. There's too much stuff here.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
By
Like, I can't
default,
pretend like
you have your West Coast teams already.
so much Jets stuff here.
The hard part
So
for you will
much.
be if you have to choose one. Would you be all in for Jets or San Jose?
I can't.
You can't. I know it's
No,
tough.
I can't do it.
Well,
Like-
you're gonna have to do it. You can't have two teams out west.
I know.
Well, what do I do
No.
about Carolina?
Well,
And
they,
Columbus. I can't. It's too much. It's too
oh
much.
yeah, because Columbus is west too because they're Central region.
No, they're not.
Eastern.
They're Eastern.
Oh,
They're behind us in the standings this year.
Yeah.
oh,
Well, they
yes.
beat
Yeah, they're
us,
Eastern.
probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yeah.
I got a
Yeah.
lot of problems. I got a lot of things that I care about, and I'm just gonna do it.
Yes. No, that makes sense. I'm thinking Chicago, Columbus,
yeah, no.
Chicago, the seas that are south of us. No. All right. I won't put that pressure on you. I would
can't do
also
it.
struggle because I love the Stars, but I think that the Sharks in the Kraken have such great vibes. I'm all about like the future is teal or Kraken, 7 shades of blue.
Or every color of blue. Yeah.
Or every color of blue. But yeah, they have good vibes. I like cheering for teams that just seem to be like, positive, I guess.
put Utah in that category.
Utah, yeah, that's
Love
another
Utah.
one. I know.
Love Utah. They love
Hence-
Shabuzi, so I love them.
They do. They do. This is why we have a hockey podcast. It's just
Too
love,
much.
love the whole league. All right. How we all love the league. How did you fall in love with Authentics, Antonio? What do they mean to you and why are they so important in your life as something that you collect?
So I guess me being a kid, I would go through a lot of hockey sticks. As a child, I'd get angry, smash it on the post after I messed up on the ice or something like that. But I guess the real love really started when there used to be a store in Troy called Hockeytown Authentics. Same as pretty much the arena, and I would always play at Troy Sports Arena. It's now called Buffalo Wild Wings Arena, I believe. I don't know. So many.
Oh, it sure is. They
Awesome.
slapped that right on the front of it.
Awesome.
I didn't realize that. I still was calling it Troy.
Everyone still calls it Troy. So, but no, they used to have the little store parked out front, and then I'd go in there, kind of look at their sticks, look at the signed jerseys, the helmets, whatever they might have in the store. And, being a game use stick, sometimes it has a lot of use, sometimes it really doesn't, depending on the player spec. And it's definitely a lot cheaper than the retail route. So, my mom used to, buy me my hockey sticks from there. My first one was Tomas Tatar.
Very cool.
Very similar spec to what I would use as a, I don't know, midget or whatever I started off as around that time.
Yeah.
So, I just started using them and, I'm like, dang, this hobby's kind of cool. Maybe I don't want to use that one. That one's a pretty cool stick. And then I'm like, okay. As soon as Little Caesars Arena opened, I really started paying attention to the Authentics. I'm like, okay, that jersey's cool. That puck is really cool. It was scored by. So I guess you can really say it started by, me just being an angry child and breaking my hockey and, eventually look and be like, oh, this is kind of a cool hobby. There's a lot of people that come out and do this kind of stuff. So, you know, I guess that's really how it transformed into this ginormous collection of jerseys, pucks, nameplates, the hats and hoodies. I had so many of those.
How do you think playing with Tomas Tatar's stick made you play on the ice? Like, did you feel empowered? Like, I'm playing with a pro stick and I'm that much better now.
It did. Everyone in the locker room would be like, "Oh, that's really cool." I would
Yeah.
get like a little boost of energy, but eventually, it just it is what it is. I love the spec on the stick. The height was perfect on skates because Tatar's a little bit of a smaller guy. I like using a little bit of a longer stick. I used to play defense a lot, so I guess it just kind of helped. Wasn't too much out of the realm. 80 flex. That's kind of somewhat of my weight at that time. I liked a little bit of a stiffer stick as a defenseman, so that's kind of where the love started, and it turned into a ginormous mess. I can testify. Probably you guys have a ginormous mess of collections as well. I know Devon does. Her collection's pretty cool. I've never seen Megan's really. So
you've never seen pictures?
No.
Well, I've seen pictures, but never physically been in the realm of your house.
Hers is 100 times bigger than mine.
Yours is all the same guy, really. So it's
No, it's not. It's a mess. It's a lot of random stuff. But it is predominantly one guy, but there's other things intermixed. But yeah, just the problem right now is that it's all separated and not in the same place. And I have I don't know, I have 50 some sticks in my living room. Somebody should go get those.
So she's moving if you're confused. Everything's split between two houses.
Yeah.
Somebody should go get those. Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. So we'll have to do an in-person tour once you're all settled. Instead of a housewarming for Megan, it'll be a viewing of the collection debut.
We can all jump in the pool, so we'll have to plan this for summer.
Yeah, I love it.
Next summer.
Yeah.
There you go. You only like my small but mighty collection, Antonio, because it's all goalies, and you are also a goalie guy. So I have to ask you about that. What made you? Because you weren't a goalie; you were mostly a defenseman. What made you start collecting goalie gear?
Like that. I guess it really started when I got my first Alex Nedeljkovic stick, maybe 4 years ago when he was on the team. I just thought the goalie stick was really cool. It would have a lot of puck marks. It would have maybe some cracking in it. And then I guess that just really flooded the collection at that time. I just couldn't stop. At one point, I had roughly about 16 to 20 Alex Nedeljkovic sticks, ranging from Carolina all the way to Detroit. Majority of Detroit, probably about 99% of them. And then my friend at the time, she was a big Alex Nedeljkovic collector as well. So, we kind of bonded over that. Collectively at that point, we definitely had 20. Shout out Gianna. But yeah, no, she would have the bags, the goalie pads, just whatever it might be. And I'm out here collecting the little rinky dink stuff like the nameplate and, the sticks. Those definitely took up a lot of room in the, I guess you could say, hockey room that I have.
Yeah. Well, together, that was probably the biggest Nedeljkovic collection ever. I mean, you guys had a lot.
I don't think there was anyone that was going to top us at that time.
No. And shout out Gianna, because didn't she get a Ned stick passed to her through the little hole that the cameras use in the arena?
First game working for Authentics, funny enough. We went to the game together with her sister, and she made a sign, trade a beanie for a stick, and she ended up, putting it out, not the bench side, but it was on the opposite side of the ice. She just happened to, I guess, get his attention, and he put the stick right through the little camera hole, and she was very excited. She was.
That's incredible.
She wouldn't say livid, but she was on cloud nine. And then she kind of came into the team store with her stick, raising it up, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, I got a stick!" I'm like, "What the hell?"
Why can't it happen
so
to me?
confused. I'm like, one time, because we've made signs that entire season for Ned, and of course, the time I'm not there is the time that she got the stick, and that's pride and joy. So we have a
that's so cool.
Getting it. That's like her core memory, I guess you could say. And from there, it really started both mine and hers, Alex and Delkovich collection. Because I was
Yeah.
jealous, not gonna lie. I'm like, dang, so I might need to, get 20 more just to one up her. So
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, it's true though. When you have a personal interaction with a player or a special memory from a game, I always tell the story about the first time I got to see Alex Lyon play in Detroit. We were sitting right behind him, and I was with my brother and my husband. And that was just such like a fun day. And we won, and he got a shutout. So like anything from that game, I would love to collect because it just means so much more to me than probably anybody, you know, but it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody's 1000th NHL appearance or 500th goal, puck. I mean, those things are cool, don't get me wrong, but they also have a much bigger price point. So if you're interested in collecting a few pieces, you can find something that's special to you that is at a much more accessible price point because, you may have more of an attachment to it than some of the big collectors who are just looking for like the big names and the big milestone type of items. Speaking of investments, you mentioned a while back that it could be thousands of dollars for a piece. So we don't want to scare anyone away because I think there's like a starting point for anybody. What would you say like some of the ranges on some of the items?
it roughly depends, per player. If you're looking for, maybe a Tyler Mott game used jersey from this past year, I know him and Justin Hall started roughly at $350, which is
Okay.
a little bit less than the Fanatics Authentic Pros that, are retail at $425. So you're getting a fantastic deal. Ben
Okay.
Scott's jersey, what I believe was $450 as well. That's maybe a little bit more than the $225, retail jerseys. But if you want to fork up, the extra $225, you can go get yourself an authentic gamer. And I'm pretty sure he played, majority of the season. So you're getting a lot of, well, maybe not that particular jersey, but you're getting a quarter of the 82 game season out of it. So
there you go.
it really depends on player. I know Tarasenko gave up a lot of gloves, a lot of sticks. So that was discounted this year at our stick sale. So if you're a Tarasenko collector and you like the sticks and gloves, they're very, there's a lot. There's a lot of them.
So quantity also helps lower the price. Yeah.
Out. No disrespect to Tarasenko, but he gave up quite a bit of, memorabilia this year.
Yeah. He likes to change his equipment often, I've heard.
He does. Him and Patrick Kane. I don't know what's with those two, but Kane with a new set of gloves every game, new stick almost every game.
Wow.
Guys definitely go through a lot of gear, and it's very cool to see all their stuff come through. Tarasenko has his children and wife on his gloves. He doesn't have anything really specific that he does. It's just cool seeing Patrick Kane, memorabilia, being the, I guess you could say now, greatest American-born player of all time. That's very cool too.
Yep. And you go down to the locker room, right, to get a lot of these pieces?
Occasionally, I would be down in the locker room to get a lot of it. So it's very cool to see the process of the equipment room and how the guys and staff roll around in there. They'll, set stuff aside in bins for us, and we'll take it up and we'll authenticate it, and we'll put the price tags on it. But it's very cool seeing some, odds and ends come up. I probably shouldn't say this, but sometimes you'll see an occasional mouth guard or a hockey cup or something show up in there, but
a mouse guard,
shorts, well, not like shorts, but I guess you could say like underwear almost.
Maybe, okay, that is weird. That is really weird.
I probably shouldn't say that. We'll yeah.
So maybe. It just accidentally ends up in the tub.
There's a helmet. I don't know whose helmet it was, but I remember wheeling it up, and I look at the coordinator, and I'm just like, "Hey, dude, there's a cup in here. We should probably give this back." I don't know why.
Gross.
But yeah.
Okay, that's gross. I hope nobody's buying those items. That is gross.
I think we do it out.
Okay, but some of the things you get from the locker room are not gross and very affordable. If you can get your hands on the nameplates, right? Those are pretty cool to have.
No, I was just going to say most of the stuff is a little gross.
Okay, true. If it's been in the locker room,
a little gross.
It probably is, Megan. That's a good point. But
not the nameplates. Nothing's happening to those.
That we know of. But the nameplates that go above the lockers and on away games, they slide into the visitor locker spaces as well, those get changed out, and they're not very easy to find, but they come up. So if you're looking for a particular player, that's something pretty affordable. It's just a matter of like you really got to be on the hunt, and which I enjoy. I think it's rewarding to like look for a piece for a long time and finally find it. So, what is your favorite piece that you had to search for a while before you got your hands on it?
Oh shoot. That's kind of a tough one because every single piece I really search for it takes a while. But
That's true.
shoot, that's a great question. It's to me, I'm not really much of a jersey or big equipment guy. It's usually the smaller items, like the
Yeah.
hood hat. So probably, I guess you could say Patrick Kane's player hat. I did own that for a little
Mm.
from his first year in Detroit. I really
Yep.
wasn't looking for it. I just thought it would have been cool. A company on eBay ended up posting a bunch of Red Wings, hats. They're well known for, player accessories and stuff like that. I bought maybe 12 hats, and then I just happened to see an 88 on the inside. Purchased it for $20, and I'm just like, okay, this is a huge investment because we had Patrick Kane stuff come through the store for the sale this year, starting at 200. So it's definitely a great thing to see when you're getting a deal like that.
Yeah.
Being a big hat and hoodie guy, it's the cheapest thing outside of a jersey that they wear more than likely more than a jersey because they're always walking
Hmm.
around the hoodies, they're always doing the pressers and stuff like that. So it's very affordable piece. Same with the nameplates. The Red
Hmm.
Wings have multiple different style nameplates. We have the big home ones. We have the plastic ones that would slide right into the visitor locker room. We would have the magnetic ones depending on the locker stall per arena. The little
Hmm.
small white ones, gray ones, just whatever it might be. Most teams don't have all those nameplates, so it's very
Oh,
cool for Detroit. Put out 5 different style nameplates, and it's very cool if, especially your guy gets traded or goes to a different team, you might be able to grab every. Sorry for your Alex, but
you knew why I was sad.
well, yeah, all the jerseys in the back definitely speaks volumes, but it's definitely cool, collect all those pieces, especially if you get, say a set one game used jersey, and then you're like, oh man, I really want the matching one with that. So it puts you on
Yeah.
the hunt, and it puts a very fun, yet sometimes stressful hunt, depending on the player. If it's Alex Lyon, not too much compared to maybe a Moritz Seider or a Patrick Kane, then you got to fight more than likely 40 other people for it.
Yeah. We've talked about this on other podcast episodes with collectors, but once you make it known that you enjoy collecting, you're decorating your game room, your study, or you just love the sport and are on the hunt for hockey history, there's a community of people that if you are just a nice person, a good person, they help you out. And they always remember Megan loves Evgeny Svichnikov. I love Alex Lyon. And so they'll call us. Like Megan has your buddy in Winnipeg who will always give you a heads up. And, I have people randomly reach out to me now who've listened to the pod and will say, or like our friends over at Dirty Laundry Podcast, Jason will always send me a note if he stumbles upon some old Flyers gear of Lions. And I just think it's so cool that it connects you with other super hockey fans across the country. And it just really forms that unique bond and with people who appreciate it as much as you do. Some of my friends come over and say, why do you have all these like marked up jerseys? You couldn't get a new one?
I wish they would know the significance behind it.
It's not for everybody. But if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably for you. So what do you hope to see out of next year being the Detroit Red Wings centennial, 100 years of hockey? There's probably going to be some good stuff. I know, and like no spoilers because I don't know if you're looped in, you don't have to overshare, but
But
anything you're hoping to get your hands on or to see the team release?
hopefully the jersey. There's
Yeah.
been talks of a centennial style jersey, so I'm hopefully, not going to spend, hundreds of dollars on a big name player. I'm fine with,
Yeah.
lower end guy, maybe a Grand Rapids guy call up.
Yeah.
Hopefully a jersey, and hopefully, there's going to be, maybe like a new set of gloves, pants,
Hmm.
socks, kind of like the reverse retro or, similar to the Stadium series. Hopefully you know, they can do some cool accessories like that, like maybe a special nameplate, kind of like
Hmm.
this. Again, I'm going to reference it again, the Stadium series. that we did this past year. We had gloves, we had nameplates, we had skate soakers, we had pant shells, we had everything that you could possibly think of, with specifics and stuff like that. So hopefully,
What did you say? What kind of shells?
pant shells. So
Oh,
Shells.
pant
Yeah.
shells. Pant I heard seashells. Like,
maybe you're thinking too much of that jersey behind.
oh, funny. Megan, what are you most excited to see next year or hopeful to see?
I just, anything when the Wings decide to do something different is terribly exciting for me because I feel like I'm a bit maxed out. Like I don't know how many jerseys I can have from Detroit because I just feel like it's the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many I really need. So anything new and different is very exciting to me. So I
Yeah.
love if we're gonna do new gloves, that's great. But at a minimum, I hope there's a jersey. I feel like they're gonna have to consider gloves and things like that if they're gonna use the older colors, if they're gonna use those like that sort
Mm-hmm.
of,
Kind of
creamy
weird
beige.
color, yeah, they would really do because
Yeah.
Mhm.
Red Wings being red, they don't like switching up their jerseys a lot. So hopefully,
Mm-mm.
you know, there could be maybe like just like you said, a cream or a brown or just something along those lines that could be very, intriguing to the customer eye.
Mhm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
If you've seen the patch, I should say, if you haven't seen the patch yet for the Red Wing Centennial, that is at least released. They haven't given us a sneak peek of the
The
jerseys
logo.
yet.
Yeah,
The
the
yeah, the
logo.
logo. It's done in that where you can almost see the stitching, and that's that beautiful red on cream on red design that Megan and Antonio are referring to. And I think if the marketing aligns with what the jerseys might look like, it could be exactly what you both are describing because they're really using that color palette and that vintage style across all of the social media artwork. So I'm excited about that too. Something different because we didn't even go to the equipment sale this year because again, like I already have my Lion red and white jerseys. I have the exhibition jersey. I have the camp jersey. I don't need anything else.
I don't think your
Except
bank account would need any more either. So
yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Antonio, what's one thing you'd love to get your hands on, authentics wise, that you don't have in your collection yet? Because if
um,
we have anybody listening who could keep an eye out for Antonio, they will certainly do so, I'm sure.
I was going to make a joke and say the Patrick Kane game used jersey, but I'm not spending, a few $1,000s on that. But
Yeah.
really, not much I'm looking for. It's not going to say I have favoritism on stuff because I really don't get anything authentics from time to time. I guess just cooler, smaller items. I'm a big hat and hoodie guy, depending on the teams. Florida is hard to get, but
Yeah.
I find my way to get their stuff. Vegas, they have a lot of stuff. So I guess
Yep.
it's pretty much smaller, cooler items, nameplates, hoodies, hats. You know,
Yeah.
I'm very plain and simple. As long as it can fit in a suitcase, that's kind of my thing.
There you go. And you mentioned Ned.
Yep.
Who are some of your other favorites that you like to collect? You were collecting James Reimer when he played for Detroit.
Yeah, I'm just like a big Detroit goalie guy, so it's sorry
Yep.
I don't have anything lying for you, but he didn't give up anything. But no, it's Ned definitely started off, and then once you get with Ned, you kind of have to have his partner get maybe some Huso items, and then Huso's partner after Ned would leave would be Lion, and I don't know, so
Yeah.
many goalies that have come through the pipeline in Detroit over the past 5-6 years. So it's just I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
kind of hard to decipher. I'm
I get that because like Robert collects our friend collects Mo Cider. So now because Mo's best friend is Lucas Raymond, he collects Razor. And Megan met Evgeny Svechnikov and they became pals. So then you collect Andre, his brother, and then Pyotr Kolchekov because they're best friends. So you're right. You create a little network of your people that you like to keep an eye out for. That's actually, I love Bob because when Lion played for Florida 22, 23, Bob was like his mentor, right? Like, so that's kind of a fun one. Also, he's incredible. He's a brick wall. Doesn't
best
hurt.
in the league, hands
Yeah.
down. Anyone wants to argue with me, feel free to, but I would
Yeah.
say best goalie in the league.
Yeah. It's
He's
hard.
definitely the best when it matters. So
There you go. Yes.
100%.
that's like a big thing.
Megan, you nailed it because you can make the argument for Hellebuck, who I love. He grew up right down the road from me. But yeah, playoffs, like Bob's just consistent, man. Like that's what you want. But what about Shesterkin? I know Rangers weren't contenders this year, but he's also, I mean,
I don't know. I just have to stand by results right now.
yeah,
That's what I'm gonna go with.
I stand by Bob.
I stand with Bob as well.
Do you see my Bob
Do you
bobble
need me to
I
say
put up
that
for you?
specifically?
I see it.
I don't see the
Can we
bobble.
get t-shirts? I stand with Bob here. I'll grab it. I I grabbed him by the head. That's probably a bobblehead no-no. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see. If not, it is Bob hoisting the Stanley Cup, the perfect bobblehead. This is the only bobble I have that is paid for. Like Megan, I try to stick to the complimentary bobbleheads you get for giveaways because I just like there's just not enough room, you know. But Bob was the exception. Did you see the 5 foot tall Matthew Kachuk one when you were there?
I did see that one. Yeah, it's
Wild.
it's
Mouth guard and everything.
pretty cool. Hopefully
Yeah.
Detroit can. I think Detroit did a Larkin one that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
this past season, if I remember
Yep,
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah,
they
that
did.
was even bigger. That was like life size. Yeah. I mean,
Like
bigger.
you guys are pretty short, so
Yeah. That's true. That's
anything
funny.
on 5'4" is short. So
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Any predictions or hopes for the Red Wings at large this coming year, Antonio?
just making the playoffs. I feel like
There we
we
go.
really excel forward so far. I know the season hasn't started. There's a lot of fantastic free agents out there, so hopefully wild card one, I'd be fine with wild card two. But hopefully we can get a steady playoff spot this year,
Yeah.
being our centennial year. Like at this point, something's got to give. I would love to
Yes.
see most definitely be in a playoff spot. Maybe take on Florida first round. Like that'd be a kind of a
There
dream
we
for me.
go.
But
And
I
get
don't think I can
booted.
really, root against Florida either. So that's gonna be a tough one for me too. So
Yeah. I hope we don't take on Florida in the first round because
I
I'd like
wouldn't
it.
be
I'd like to have
disappointed,
a chance. Um, but once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. S-
right?
7 games, anything can happen. This is
I
where,
would 100%
for
agree.
for our loyal listeners, this is where they appreciate the glass half full versus glass half empty co-host dynamic.
Mm-mm. Nope, that's gonna be a miracle to just be
Hey,
there.
we're
That will
we're
be
hoping
a
for a miracle.
miracle.
Well, fingers crossed. Trades can still happen. We'll see. But this has been so much fun, Antonia. We miss seeing you every week, but the season will be here before you know it. Uh,
Yeah, a month and a half maybe.
yeah, yeah. Are you
Hey,
going
are
to
you
try to
gonna
make
try to
it?
make it to training camp?
We'll see with scheduling this year. Hopefully I can get up to training camp this year. But
Yeah.
other prior obligations, I guess we'll just wait and see. But we'll see where life takes me by mid-September. I've never been up
Yes,
to training camp, so it'd be really cool to head out to Traverse City.
yes. If
For
you
sure.
can't make it up to Traverse City, maybe you can at least make it to the red and white game because that'll be in Grand Rapids this year.
Yeah, again, it's a scheduling thing, but I would
Yeah.
love to see that red and white game in Grand Rapids. That arena is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Keep us posted. We look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you so much for your time today. You are a wealth of knowledge, and we'll all be on the lookout for more player hoodies and hats for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks.
See
Bye.
you later. Welcome. Here we are for the third period.
It's here already. It was so good to catch up with Antonio. I actually
Yes.
really miss him and so many of the friendly faces we see around the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bartenders, the security people. Like I just miss them all, It's
For sure.
it has like high school vibes when the school's out and you're like gone during the summer and then you come back and you're actually like, I miss the lunch lady. But Antonio's actually a friend.
Yes.
It's just we don't get to catch up much because, as he alluded to, he has been traveling like crazy and spending a lot of time in Florida. So good for him.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of his thoughts on the equipment sale?
Um, it just kind of, makes sense.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of a big gear up to like this next year. I feel like it's gonna be a big year for
Mhm.
the game used gear. Everybody's going to want a piece of that centennial, whatever it is, one way or another. Like, I feel like that's going to be the big thing next year. So I feel like
For
everyone's
sure.
kind of like holding it in, waiting for that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we may be back to participating next year. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm excited to see what they roll out next for the centennial. We know some of the events are on the docket, but mostly the big news for today was the red and white game. Tickets
Oh,
are
yep. You can
officially
buy
on sale.
tickets. Yep. We
Hmm.
knew we were going to go watch in Grand Rapids, but we could finally get our tickets. So that was
Hmm.
exciting. Yeah.
Yes. So, other than that, we'll continue counting down to our home opener, also to training camp. So, at least this doesn't seem quite so far away. And we will be welcoming back next week the Second String Leather Company team, Zach and Joe, back by popular demand because you all really enjoyed hearing from them just as much as we did. But they're going to be launching their summer collection that Friday. So we are lucky enough to get them on the day before to give us a sneak peek and talk about some of their favorite pieces. So be sure to come back next week to hear from them.
Very
But
exciting.
we should have a style tip.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. What do you got?
Oh, what do I got?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. We were talking about goalie gear. Okay. Antonio and I both love goalies. We were talking about hockey stuff as decor in your office or your study or your game room. And I completely had a brain lapse and forgot what division Columbus was in for some reason. So it made me think I should share today this really ridiculously funny, but sort of cute a hockey standings tracker I got at the Columbus Blue Jackets arena, nationwide arena in Columbus. I just fell in love with it because they're all little mini goalie masks, but there's one for each division: Atlantic, Metropolitan, Central, and Pacific, and then the two conferences. So during the season, you can pop them out. We'll pop out the Red Wings and move them right on up, and they just
I
slide
mean,
off, and you just slide them right on to the top here. See,
only in theory will this happen. So this is fun.
this is cute. I'm gonna reorder it this summer just the way I want it to look and put it up. Maybe good juju. I don't know. So send us your fun, weird, bizarre, funny, creative hockey art and pieces that you have in your room. It's summertime. We need more hockey content, and it's fun to think about as we prepare for the upcoming season.
Yeah, show us your weird stuff.
That's the theme, the weird stuff. If you haven't yet and you're still listening, we would love it if you would be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a like and go ahead and follow us on socials at Hockey Style Podcast.
See you next time.